Hey folks, it's Nate. Thanks for joining me once again as we look to the horizon. Coming back to you with the weekly writing vlog, and I did pretty well this week. My goal was to focus exclusively on Burning Bright and do about 2,500 words there. By my current count, I have about 2,300 words, which is close. Not quite where I wanted to get. A little bit more than I did last week, though, so I feel pretty good about that. Obviously, there is an upper limit to how many words of good writing you can do in a week, especially when you work full time. But 2,300, I think, is not my upper limit. So um, I don't think even 2,500 is my upper limit. I think I could probably do 3,000, maybe 3,200 words a week of really good writing if I focused exclusively on a single project. And um, I think that, well, we'll get into that in a little bit. But I did get a lot of writing done on Burning Bright on those edits. And now that I've done all that, I can see pretty clearly that by the time I finish these additions to the story, I'm probably going to have, I have about 4,000 words right now, a little more than that, probably more like 4,500. Excuse me, 3,500. Yes, I have about 3,500 words right now. So when I'm done, I think they're going to come out to somewhere between 5 and 6,000 words. So my goal for this week is going to be finishing those 5 to 6,000 words of edits, and then after that, doing as much as I can of chapter 3 for the Gospel according to Earth, because this Friday, or excuse me, this Saturday, the introduction to that story is going up on my blog. So I am currently about three. I have the introduction and 2 full chapters for that written already, and I would like to maintain roughly that much buffer space as that story unfolds. So yeah, if I do the first half of the 3rd chapter this week, that should leave me pretty well positioned next week to hopefully at that point being done with all of the primary major additions that I want to do to Burning Bright. That should leave me well positioned to wrap up chapter 3 and do most, if not all, of chapter 4 the week after this coming week. So that is my long-term goal. I do, however, have a couple of other things I need to do editing-wise with Burning Bright. First of all, as I add in these new sections of the story, I need to reread and make sure I'm not contradicting anything, make sure there's no continuity I need to set up. There's no parts of the story I thought I had written that I then relied on in writing these edits, and then if that kind of foundation work isn't there, I'll need to go back and add it in. So those are things I need to look out for, and just in general, some polish work to make sure everything is smooth, and these new sections don't create problems with the story or the redundancies or general prose issues, things like that. It's very important to watch for that kind of thing when you're doing heavy edits or heavy additions, because you can recontextualize other parts of your story in ways you did not intend to when you do these kinds of additions. I myself have read stories that felt very much like that kind of thing happened. The most notable one was a novel called Out of the Dark by David Weber that felt like, based on what I know about the story and some of the author's own commentary on it and my own reactions to it, it really felt like he had one story and then he added a whole bunch of other things to it, especially in the first 2/3 of that story, that completely skewed my response to that story as a reader, such that the 3rd act then was a total tonal and thematic break from the first 2 acts. And I felt like it was just a total betrayal of the audience and their expectations, and the kinds of things I, especially as a reader, was hoping to get out of that story. So I definitely don't want to do something like that as I am writing Burning Bright. And I was especially, in fact, the reason why I am doing all these additions is because I did a little bit of that as I was redrafting the project, and it has become something much different from what it was originally intended to be. So, now that I'm trying to bring the whole story into alignment with that final point, I have to make sure that I'm not leaving any more artifacts that will confuse the storyline, because I've gone to all this trouble to smooth it out already. I might as well be thorough. Also, there is one last scene that I've decided I need to rewrite to really get the kind of ending and impact that I hope for. That scene is going to need stripped out and pared down and reworked into a better context. And I think that I can do that. I don't know if I'm going to do it the week after next, because I am trying to write a big chunk of the Gospel According to Earth the week after next. So if I don't get to it this coming week, which I may, depending on how many extra words I wind up adding to the story, I may get to that this week. I may have to push it back 2 weeks, which is not ideal because we'll be well into June at that point. And I am going on vacation in June, but I don't know. I think this is pretty important to really get the story right. So it does need to be done, and it's going to be the last thing I let myself do with the story, because it is important to have cutoff points for yourself. This edit is the last significant edit I'm going to let myself do. I am going to get another round of test reading done, and I will do minor tweaks and edits based on the feedback I get there. I will try and clarify things and stuff like that, but I'm not going to do another major structural edit after this scene rewrite. I have too many other projects that need my attention, and at some point, as a writer, you have to accept that the story is done and you have to get it out. So I'm not setting myself a time deadline beyond the goal to be done by the end of June. I am setting myself a writing deadline. Not allowed to mess with the story after that scene is rewritten. So it's the way things stand. Hopefully it all works out. We will see. That's all I've got for you this week. There's a like button and a subscribe button down there. You can use those as you see fit, and I'll talk to you later.